Ironically, Candace Parker is in a little bit of a hot seat right now.
Yeah, she probably shouldn't go to Chicago.
Candace Parker just broke one of the WNBA's unspoken rules. And now the backlash is hitting hard. If you've been watching closely, you already know this is the reality of women's basketball today. The fastest rising star the league has ever seen, Caitlin Clark, is fueling record-breaking ratings, filling arenas, smashing milestones, and still getting criticized for it. And here's the wild part. She's not the only one. Anyone who openly supports her without also handing out equal compliments to every other player immediately finds themselves in the crosshairs. That's not an exaggeration. It's exactly what's happening right now to one of the most accomplished legends the WNBA has ever produced, Candace Parker. There's no question anymore. Caitlin Clark is the driving force behind the league's surge in popularity. She finished 4th in MVP voting, set the single-season assists record, and earned Time Athlete of the Year honors as a rookie. You don't build that kind of resume unless you're a generational talent. But here's the catch. The moment you acknowledge that without quickly adding, and everyone else matters just as much, you get painted as part of the problem. That's when the critics pounce. That's exactly where Candace finds herself now. For months, she's been consistent in praising Caitlin, but this week, she took it up a notch, not only defending Clark against one of the most absurd narratives out there, but also redirecting the scrutiny toward the very players pushing it. That's when things shifted. Suddenly, Candace wasn't just defending a player, she was challenging an entire storyline. And in this league, that's a boundary you're not supposed to cross. So, what exactly did she say, and why is it rattling the old guard so much? Let's break it down. But first, if you're here for Candace's fight against the WNBA's narrative machine, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next development.
I just think that when you bring opinions to the table, you gotta have something to back it up. So you can't just say stuff.
Unfortunately for Candace, she's learning quickly. This is not how the WNBA operates right now. When it comes to Caitlin Clark's influence, both in performance and in boosting the league's finances, many people follow the same script. Either bury it or play it down until it seems insignificant. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at how ESPN handled the All-Star Game statistics.
It's fine to just say, just post the ratings. That is fine. That is absolutely fine. But it is another situation than pretending like Caitlin Clark doesn't exist.
This is a reality check for Candace. The WNBA simply doesn't work the way it should. Caitlin Clark's impact, both with her play and her economic influence, has been undeniable. Yet the common strategy from certain corners has been the same. Ignore it or water it down until it sounds minor. Don't just take my word for it. Check ESPN's presentation of the All-Star Game viewership numbers. Rather than comparing this year's numbers to last season, the year Caitlin actually played, they skipped back to 2023. Why? Because a direct year-over-year comparison would have revealed a glaring truth. Ratings fell by 36% without Caitlin in the lineup. There's no legitimate reason to avoid the most recent season unless the goal is to mask the Caitlin Clark effect and push the idea that the league can thrive without her. This playbook isn't new. It's a classic move from the league's old guard media. Even though Caitlin is directly boosting revenue across the board, there's an unwritten rule. You can't highlight her success in isolation. You have to pair it with praise for other players, or else you're accused of hurting the league. That double standard becomes even clearer when Angel Reese enters the discussion. This is where Candace really stirred things up. For reasons never backed by hard data, there's been a constant push to elevate Angel Reese's profile to match Caitlin's in popularity. To be fair, Angel has done an excellent job marketing herself. Outside of Caitlin, no player has broader name recognition. But here's the part no one is allowed to state openly without backlash. Angel Reese isn't at Caitlin Clark's level in skill or economic impact. Say it out loud, and the outrage comes instantly. You can bring stats, examples, and even point out that Angel's team moved games to a 20,000-seat arena specifically for Caitlin matchups, yet still couldn't sell out their home arena, which holds half that. And it won't matter. An honest comparison will have you treated like you've crossed a forbidden line. Meanwhile, criticism of Caitlin is wide open and goes unchecked. With her missing much of the season and looking less than full strength when she has played, her usual detractors have been circling, eager to chip away at her importance. For instance, after the Fever won the Commissioner's Cup without her and then beat the Aces, ESPN's Carolyn Peck didn't just commend the team, she suggested the Fever might actually be better without Caitlin Clark.
Look, I think that Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play because she's a ball-dominant guard. The ball's in her hands a lot, so you know what you need to try to take away. But when you look at Indiana now, they've got so many weapons.
And that was only the beginning of the storyline spiral. Because after the Fever rattled off a 5-game win streak, instead of celebrating the run, the better without Caitlin narrative came roaring back.
We have to deal with the possibility that the Indiana Fever right now, in this moment, are better without Caitlin Clark. And that sounds crazy, and people are saying, how can you say that? I'm saying it because we're seeing it.
And now, the conversation has shifted from sly jabs to full-on dismissal, with some voices outright claiming that Caitlin Clark simply isn't that talented.
See, he always trying to push this CC narrative. She good, but she not that good.
Here's the part they'd rather keep quiet. The Fever's record with Caitlin on the court is 8 wins and 5 losses, while without her, it's 9-9. That's more than just a number. That's a mic drop moment. Every time this better without her storyline tries to surface, the facts shut it down immediately. This is the climate in the WNBA right now. If there's any opportunity to undermine Caitlin's influence, someone will jump on it, regardless of whether the evidence proves them wrong right away. That's why what happens next matters so much. Into this storm steps Candace Parker, a WNBA icon who's not only standing up for Caitlin Clark, but openly confronting the league's most popular anti-Caitlin narratives. In doing so, she's unintentionally painting a target on her own back. Candace has praised Caitlin before, sure, but this moment marked the point when she began taking real heat for it. On ESPN's First Take, when asked about the resentment over Caitlin receiving so much attention, she didn't sidestep. She didn't give the polished, PR-friendly answer. Instead, she responded with blunt, logical truth, exactly the sort of thing critics didn't want to hear. And it set off the next wave of backlash.
You know, it's so crazy to me because I'm asked so many times if I'm resentful in any type of way for where the WNBA is right now. My job was to leave the game better than I came into it. You think Cheryl Miller is resentful for me that I had a league to play in? No, she's being the mentor that she is, and she's supporting and loving and sitting courtside cheering on Juju Watkins. And I'm doing the same for Caitlin Clark and all the women in the WNBA.
Candace didn't dance around the issue. She didn't sugarcoat it. She stared straight into the camera and essentially told the WNBA, stop being jealous, stop being insecure, and start appreciating the fact that Caitlin Clark is about to boost everyone's paycheck. It was the type of common sense statement that fans instantly understand, but that sends the entrenched crowd into a frenzy, and she didn't stop there. When Jemele Hill tossed a sarcastic comment about Caitlin's turnovers, Candace batted it right back without hesitation.
Freakish floor vision. I know she had that 10 turnover game.
Yeah.
but that's something.
That's like a learning. I think all of us young turn the ball over. And especially when you're the focal point of the entire defense. You know, you're going to have more turnovers. You're going to have more live ball situations, and the competitive element of you do tend to take chances early on. And you learn that sometimes it might be a highlight, but 7 out of 10 times it's probably going to be a turnover. And I had to learn that because I was, some of the biggest things with Pat was like offensive rebounding and me turning the ball over. So those are the two things. I get it.
No walking it back, no toning it down. She defended Caitlin again, directly and unapologetically. But this is where Candace ran into real trouble, at least in the eyes of the league's old guard. When the topic turned to comparing Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, Candace broke one of the WNBA's unspoken rules. She was more complimentary toward Caitlin. Labeling Angel Reese as C-tier became the spark that set off the explosion. Angel's supporters erupted online, flooding social media with posts accusing Candace of being out of touch and suggesting she should follow the lead of Lisa Leslie and Aja Wilson, who always make sure to heap praise on Angel. Rather than engaging with her actual argument, the conversation turned personal.